Hey everyone, my name's Kelvin, and I'm going to show you how you can customize the textures in Watercolor Pro graphic styles. So let's launch Illustrator here. We'll make a new document. We'll make it 1,000 pixels by 1,000 pixels just for a demo. And then we'll load the styles we want to edit. So we'll go to Window, Actions. Actually, not Actions, sorry. We'll go to Window, Graphic Styles. And then we'll go to Open Graphic Styles, Other Library. And then just navigate to wherever you unzipped the original folder from Creative Market. And here it is here. I'll use the smooth ones, Watercolor Pro Smooth. And there they are. And the idea here is that if you want to change one of these to make your own custom color, you're going to have to move one of these styles into your local graphic style panel because we can't edit these ones. So let's instead edit our own locally here. So the best way to do that is let's make a square, and we'll select one of these that we'd like to edit. And you'll notice whenever I select one of these, it's popping up over here. So anytime you use a graphic style, it'll move it and then store it locally within the document. So if you save this document and open it again, you won't actually need to open Watercolor Pro again. The ones you've used will stay here in the local graphic style panel. So let's pick an easy one to edit. So how about this one, number 16? That's fine. And this graphic style, actually inside it, there's quite a bit going on. So once we have it moved over here, okay, we'll go to Window, and we'll make sure that Appearance is available. This is how I made these. So inside Appearance is all the stuff going on explaining, telling this shape to look like this. So most of these, the ones we're going to deal with today, are actually swatches. So if we go to Window and open Swatches, there we go. You'll see that every time we've used one of these, it's moved it to the graphic styles, if you remember. Oh, it's gone away here. Yeah, so every time we've used one of these, it's moved it to the graphic styles, and it's included a swatch, right? So these are the actual patterns that make the colors and the textures of Watercolor Pro. So in order to edit the pattern or the texture in this watercolor effect, you'll need to edit the swatch. Okay, so I've included the patterns I used to make the swatches already in the download. So if we go back to our download folder, this is where we downloaded and unzipped this folder from Creative Market. There's a folder called Watercolor Background Tiles. So we'll double click on that. And these are all the tiles that I used to make the swatches in those graphic styles. So let's choose one to edit. So how about number 14? We'll make sure Photoshop is open, and then we'll drag it into Photoshop. And there it'll open just like this. And then before we make any edits, it's important that we go to Image, Mode, and we change it to CMYK. That's usually a good idea if we're going to work with Illustrator. So depending on what kind of changes you want to make to these tiles, you'll use your own special recipe of effects in Photoshop. But what I would recommend is if you have your layer selected here, you can go down to, I think this is like Effects or something. Open that little half circle. And then you can do Selective Color, actually Color Balance. There we go. Yeah, Color Balance. This is a great way to customize the textures. You can mess with these sliders. So let's try something with some good contrast so we can see the textures, the paper texture. And then we'll go to probably Hue Saturation, because it will have this hue slider, which means we can sort of drag ourselves through quite a few different variations of color. So I think today, since the original swatch that we used was blue, I'm going to try to make a color that's about as far away from that as we can get. So we'll try pink. I'll try to make a pink out of that swatch. So let's bring it over here. Increase the saturation just a little bit. Okay, X out of that. We'll go back to our color balance. We can move these sliders to make things look a little nicer. There we go. I think I'll go back to the saturation and lower that a little bit. Too strong. And then the final one that I'll add will be a brightness and contrast. So let's make it a little brighter. We'll lower the contrast, I think. That looks good. Okay. And then I guess once I've decided that I'm happy with the color change, I might go to File, Export, and then Save for Web, and then go ahead and save it somewhere where you'll have an easy time to find it. So let's save it to my temporary desktop here. Save it. And then we'll leave Photoshop open. We'll go back to where we saved that. Now this is the image I just edited in Photoshop. I'm going to drag it into Illustrator, and it'll look like that. Now when it has this X through it, that means it's just pulling the file from your computer. It's not actually stored in the document. We want it to be stored in the document, so we'll go ahead and embed it. So usually while the image is selected, you'll see this embed button over in the corner, so select that. There, now it's stored in the document, and we can make it into a swatch. But the first thing we want to do is shrink it. So right now it's quite big, so we will make sure that this is linked, and we'll change the width to 450 pixels, so it's about this size. Okay. Once you've shrunk this image to 450 pixels and it's been embedded, we'll drag it into swatches. And there, you'll see it just there. And then at that point, we can just delete that. We don't need that one anymore. And then we'll select our graphic style, the shape where we've applied our style, and then we'll go to Appearance. So what you'll have to do is replace all of these little boxes with the one that we've made, the swatch that we've made. So while that's selected, we'll just select a little arrow and then select the pink one. There, it's there. Do the same to this one. And as you can see, the shape is kind of changing as we go. There we go. There. Now we've totally edited that style now, so we've replaced it all with this pink graphic style, this pink swatch. And then to save this, we'll open our local graphic styles again, and then we'll drag it in till we see that little black line, and there it is. Now it's saved in this document, so you'll want to save this so that you can open it up and use this one again if you like, or you can save it here, and then you can make your own library and make a file that you'll be able to open later on. So anyways, once we're happy with that, we can test it out. I like this pink color. I don't need that one anymore, so we'll make a square with a paper texture, and then we'll put some words. We'll change the typeface to Emulehead, my favorite font ever. Okay. And then we can just select our pink style and it'll apply instantly. And that's pretty much it. Once we've been sort of editing it, some of these are still selected. So you just want to make sure you go ahead and select another object or kind of deselect the changes we were making on here so that we can reselect it, and then at this point we can change the opacity and make the effect more faint like that. If you try to change the opacity and it's like nothing's changing or it's just changing a little bit, what's happened is one of these has become selected, and then when you change the opacity, it thinks you're changing the opacity of just this particular appearance. So we want to make sure that it no longer thinks we're messing with the appearance. Close that, select another object, kind of distract the selection. I still haven't totally figured out why Illustrator gets hung up in the appearance panel sometimes, but just if you try to change the opacity and it's like nothing's happening, it just means that one of these is still highlighted. So hopefully that makes sense. I guess if you've got a question, you can send me an email or leave a comment. I hope this explains how you can make your own custom watercolor styles. But other than that, guys, thanks for your support and thanks for watching.